This past week, I got together with a friend that I don't get to see very often. She is in her 70s and has a large family. She had an older sister come to visit who's about 75, and a younger sister come to visit who was around 68 or so. And they've always squabbled, those two. It's always been difficult. You know, every family has a pair of people that have a hard time getting along. And I asked her how it went. And she said, it was good until the second day. And there was a point where they were at each other's throats. And they were raised voices and angry. And I put up with it for as long as I felt was appropriate. And then I said, I don't know who's right and who's wrong here anymore. But would one of you just call a truce? Can one of you just say, all right, this is enough, so we can go back to the table? And she said she looked at their faces, and it was like they were in a trance. They couldn't do it. So it went one more statement and then another. And then the younger sister said, that's it. And she got in her car and left. And the sister left behind looked at my friend and said, I don't know what her problem was. Each January 1st, we come together. And we celebrate the fact that Mary is our mother. She's the mother of God by being the mother of Jesus, and that makes her mother of us all too. And we celebrate this World Day of Peace that is a great way to set our intention for the year ahead. We came in singing the song, Let There Be Peace on Earth. And my guess is that for a lot of people here, that is one of your favorites. The sound of you singing it as we processed in was just beautiful. And I know that many people love it because although it's not necessarily connected to the experience of losing a loved one, we have a lot of families that request that song as part of a loved one's funeral. I found out that that song has a very interesting history. The person who wrote it is a woman named Jill Jackson, who was in a very dark place at a certain point in her life, back in the 1940s. And she actually attempted suicide. But in the suicide attempt, which failed, she had an encounter with God. And she realized that God is unconditional love, and that God did not need her to be one bit different than she was to be loved, and that there was nothing she could do that could screw up God's love for her. And it changed everything. She got on a completely different path. She wound up meeting someone named Cy Miller, and they got married. He was a musician, and she was an author. So the two of them wrote a song together called Let There Be Peace on Earth. She wrote the lyrics, he wrote the music. And they led a youth retreat in California in the 50s. And when people heard it, they lost it. They absolutely loved it. And music critics said, this song really is amazing because there's nothing in the lyrics to argue with. You can't say, I don't believe in that. How could you not believe in making choices to promote peace? And they went on to say that this is a song that creates a climate. It's almost like an air freshener. It changes the atmosphere around it so that people can't disagree as easily. They have to be able to work together and build bridges. The song has gone around the world. Just a short listing of the people who've sung it: Nat King Cole, Bing Crosby, Johnny Mathis, Bob Hope. All of them drawn by this idea of keeping our side of the street clean in our relationships, of being willing to call a truce. One of the essential spiritual truths that each of us has to make peace with in our life is that we cannot change another person, no matter what we do. There is not one thing we can do to change another person. And I'm noticing the married people here smiling wryly. We can't change other people. We can only decide to change ourselves, shift our attitudes, try a new behavior ourselves. Which is why I think I'm haunted by my friend telling me that she said to her warring sisters, will one of you right now just choose not to do this? And she couldn't get them to do that. One of the things that will allow us to call a truce, even if things aren't right yet, is the awareness that sometimes, even if we're right, that's not enough. Sometimes being right isn't enough. We might be 100% right, and the other person might be 100% wrong. Not that that happens very often, but let's just say. That still is not a reason not to call a truce. We still have to recognize that, as Jackson Browne once said, good manners sometimes means putting up with other people's bad manners. The mistake in our thinking is, I will have peace just once I settle the score. I'm just going to settle the score so that we're even again, and then we can have peace. But it'll be too late for peace if we keep trying to settle the score. My brother and I fought a lot when we were kids, and it used to really upset my mother. It was not just frustrating to her, it was not just irritating, it was hurtful. And one day when I was old enough to understand, she said, I don't think you get how hard it is for me to love each of you so much and see you not love each other. Another time she said, I want you to know that your dad and I are not always going to be here. And I want to be able to go to heaven knowing that you two have each other. Isn't that what every mother wants for her children? To have each other and to walk forward hand in hand on the road together? When you think of letting peace begin with you, what comes to mind? Is it someone in your family? Someone that we just can't continue looking to settle the score with? We just have to call a truce? Is there someone in your workplace or a place that you volunteer that you just need to say, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to clean up my side of the street? Is there anything elsewhere in your life, another relationship, another circumstance that requires a truce? Maybe it's someone with whom you've disagreed with a long time and you're 100% right, but being right isn't enough. January 1st, brand new, fresh start, taking the paper off the box and opening up at what God has in store for us this year. We celebrate that peace is in our hands and that our mother longs for us to have each other more than anything else. There is never going to be a better time to make a resolution. There is never going to be a more grace-filled moment than this one to ask our mother to help us walk forward hand in hand with the others God has given us. What better Mother's Day gift could we give her?